everybody. Teacher Merrill here. It is nice to see you. Let's sing our good morning song together and we'll get started. Good morning to you, good morning to you. We're all in our places with bright shining faces, and this is the way we start our new day. Good morning. Thanks for singing with me. Today we are going to talk about a very special word, and that word is empathy. Do you know what empathy is? Well, if you don't, I'm here to share it with you. Empathy means that you can understand how somebody else might be feeling, even if it is different from how you're feeling, and that you believe their story about how they're feeling, even if you've never felt that way before. Empathy is a really important thing for being friends with people and for taking care of other people in the world, because everybody is different and everyone has different feelings and feels different things and experiences different things. And so somebody might feel very differently about something than you do, but you can still understand and imagine how they might be feeling. And that's a good way of connecting with them and being friendly to them. So I have a little story to share with you, and it'll tell us a little bit about empathy and what it means. So there are two friends, Carlos and Brianna. And Carlos and Brianna are both really excited to go to the beach. They've been waiting for a long time to go to the beach together, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and they just can't wait. Now, Brianna is really excited to go swimming at the beach. She loves being in the water, and she's a really good swimmer. So when they get there, she drops off her bags and she spreads out her towel and she runs in her swimsuit down to the water. She's very excited. But then she realizes that Carlos isn't with her, and she looks back, and Carlos is still back up on the sand dunes, and he's slowly putting out his towel, but he looks a little bit nervous. So even though Brianna is really excited to go swimming, she walks back up to check on Carlos. "Hey Carlos," she says, "why aren't you running with me? Come on, let's go jump in the water. It's going to be so much fun." And Carlos looks down a little bit and kind of shuffles his feet, and he still looks a little bit nervous. And he says, "Brianna, I don't want to swim. Swimming is kind of scary. I like swimming around in my bathtub, but here the water is deeper and I'm not very good at swimming, and I feel too scared to swim." And Brianna can see on Carlos' face that he's not excited and he's not looking forward to swimming. And even though Brianna feels very differently, she really wants to swim, she sees that Carlos does not, and she believes that that's how he's really feeling, and she can imagine what it would be like to be scared to swim in that water and to be worried about it. And she doesn't want her friend Carlos to be scared or worried. And so even though she has different feelings about swimming than he does, she decides that she'll stay on the beach with him for a while, and they'll build sandcastles together instead of going swimming, because she understands that her friend feels differently and she wants him to feel good too. So that's a story that talks a little bit about empathy. Empathy can also happen in different ways. Maybe you see someone stub their toe and it really hurts, and you can imagine what it's like when you stub your toe and you know that it doesn't feel good, and so maybe you offer that person a hug or ask if you can get them an ice pack because you know how that feels and it doesn't feel good. Even though you're not feeling it, you can understand their feelings. Other times, empathy might feel more tricky. Like when Carlos and Brianna didn't feel the same way about swimming. Brianna had to make the decision to not go swimming even though she wanted to, because she wanted her friend to be happy too. Sometimes we might do something that accidentally hurts somebody's body or somebody's feelings. And we might not mean to do that thing. We might not have been thinking about it, but it might happen anyway. So when that kind of thing happens and somebody says, "Hey, that hurt my feelings, that was really mean," you might feel sad inside that the person called you mean. But when you realize that they felt differently about what happened than you did, then you can talk to them about their feelings. Because you know that it doesn't feel good when someone hurts your feelings, and so you can help them to feel better. Empathy is a really great way to take care of our friends and to imagine how other people might feel about things, even if it's different from how we feel. I have this book. It's called Feelings. And in this book, there are many children who feel many different ways. And I'm going to see if you guys can use your empathy with me to see if we can figure out how they might be feeling by looking at their faces and what happens, and maybe figuring out if we can imagine why they might feel that way. So, this first one is a page called Lost and Found. And here is a little boy, and he's amongst a big crowd of grown-ups. He looks really sad, and he's calling out, "Mama!" And he's crying and looking all around. Can you imagine what it would feel like if you got lost in a big crowd of people and you couldn't see your mom or your dad? That might be really scary, right? So even though we're not feeling this right now, and maybe it's never happened to you before, you can understand that this little boy feels scared and lost, and that when he finally finds his mom, he feels relieved and happy again. All right, let's look at another page. In this one, Tom builds an amazing block tower. It looks like he used all of the blocks to build something that he's really proud of. And here he is, so proud of his building. And a lot of his friends are really excited for him, but this friend, how do you think he might be feeling? Maybe he wanted to use the blocks. And he feels jealous that Tom used all the blocks to build his building because he really wants a turn. Now on the next page, it shows what happened. That boy John, he got upset because he wanted to use the blocks, and he knocked over Tom's tower. Now, Tom is feeling angry and he's shouting. Now, the other kids around realize that he's feeling angry because he worked really hard on that tower. And they can imagine how that must feel, and they're starting to feel angry for him. And John, now he feels sad. He didn't mean to hurt his friend's feelings, but he was feeling frustrated about wanting to use the blocks. And now he's realizing that he needs to use his empathy and say sorry to Tom for knocking over his building. I think one of the most important lessons of talking about empathy is that other people are different than we are, but we can all have the same feelings and we can share them with each other. And when you learn about something that hurts somebody, you can do your best to try to understand how they might feel and to believe their story even if it's different from your story. I know that you guys have empathy because I watch you at school take care of your friends and give them hugs when they're sad and check on them when they're crying. And all of those things are things that show you have empathy. Bad things might happen sometimes, but when we have empathy, we can help take care of each other. I'm going to send you a link to a story about a little boy who learns about empathy, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Thanks for joining me and I love talking to you about this.